Friends, I've had a few people ask me about a comparison of the American, Joyo American, and the Oxford Sound. And one of the people in particular asked me about a noise level. Is it very noisy, one more so than the other? And the answer is they're both noisy if you set them with a lot of gain. But it's very satisfying gain. It's good gain. And if you do have a noise gate, you're going to get some pretty killer sounds out of either box. I would say generally the Oxford's a little more noisy than the other one, but it's more of a high gain sort of a bright kind of amp, whereas the American is just more that classic, a little bit thicker bell-like tone that you get with an American amp with a Fender. So what I've done, I've got a Helix on the floor down here. I'm running no amps out of the Helix, so you're not getting any amp sound. Now I am going to use at some point here a cab sound and some reverb. I just got to have some reverb when I do a video, but I've got dry signal here so you can hear how they sound. I do have a noise gate applied, and I'm going to go up here to where the, hang on one second, let me just do a little bit of a fix up here on my screen. Over here, it says dynamics up here on top. Can you see me? Is it showing my mouse? It's up here, a little DYN. Maybe it's not. I'm not doing actually a screen capture. I'm doing a window capture. But right up here, in this top part here, I do have a noise gate turned on. Right now I have it turned on. I'm going to turn it off for a second. You probably don't hear anything. But if I had the amps cranked, or the pedals cranked, you'd hear a little bit of noise. So I do have, if you can get a $50 noise pedal and alleviate any of these problems I'm going to show you, and it's well worth it. I mean, I think they're probably some of the best amp emulations for these two amps, for the American and for the Oxford. So I'm going to jump into some sounds. I'm going to show you how it does work, how they are a bit noisy if you crank them up. I've got two mics here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this up on the screen here so you can see when I'm rolling over certain things or changing it. And I have various scenes set up. Right now I'm on the American dry, so I'm going to show you what my guitar sounds like, and I'm going to turn my volume off. Well, I guess I can leave it on for a second. I don't want you hearing my string sound. So I've got a setting on my mixer where I'll turn it off. You won't hear my strings being plucked. But this is just my guitar with nothing, going straight into the Helix. And I'm going to turn on the American amp. I'm going to twist some knobs. I'm going to show you some sounds you can get. You won't hear me talking, or you'll minimally hear me talking, probably not even at all. And I'm going to show you, I'm also going to switch over to American with a Fullerton type cab out of Helix. Now the reason I'm doing this is because, yes, there is somewhat cabinet circuitry built into this, so you don't have to have a cab. But man, you can tame some of these sounds if you got an impulse response loader. I know TC Electronics coming out with one now about $129 or something. That's fantastic. So I'm not really using IRs. I'm just saying that the Joyo cab box is great for this. By the way, I've used all these pedals. When I use them, I usually put a cab box and I sort of add that to it. You don't have to. They sound great without it. To me, they sound a little better and a little more authentic, a little more like an amp when you do use an IR or a cab. Right now, I'm just using stock cabs out of the Helix, and you'll see when I go up here at the top, I have cabs. I have a cab that would be typical for a Fullerton sound, for a Fender sound. I also have one that's more typical if you wanted to do an orange sound, right, for the Oxford. So I'm going to turn myself off for a minute. We're just going to play through some sounds. And first of all, you're going to hear just totally dry guitar. Then you're going to hear with the American, and I'll switch around and give you some sound samples. I'll turn the noise gate on and off so you hear how much noise you're getting. And then I'll also hit you with the cab and some reverb. So let's begin this little epic journey here, okay? Okay, got the mics back on, so hopefully you saw what I was doing there. It's going back and forth, and I'm going to do the same thing now for the Oxford sound. And so we're going to be listening to the Strat played through the Oxford sound clean first, and then with the I'm going to just dial in various different sounds so you can see what noise levels. Hopefully you saw what noise levels you're getting there, and that it was very easily tameable with a little bit of the gate. And you can soften it. Yeah, I got it kind of high now. I can actually pull this threshold back. I'm quite confident it's not going to be that bad. But let's go ahead and do a little bit of the Joyo and see how that's going to. Well, so once again, you can see up here where it says American Dry or American with the cab and reverb. It says cab R if I have that, or if I. But now I'm going to the Oxford, so I'm going to go ahead and click my. It should say Oxford Dry now. So let's go ahead and listen to that for just a bit. I'm going to turn myself off again. So probably enough of that. Now you're hearing it with my string sound, which can sound kind of nice with the room in the room. Just so you know, so both of them are very manageable. Very different kinds of pedals. I will say this again about the Oxford if you've not seen one of my previous videos. These tone knobs make a huge difference, more so than with, I didn't even mess with them on the American while I was doing the examples, and they make a difference too. They're fairly sweepable, but these are very subtle. You can scoop, of all the pedals that I've got here from Joyo, these are the most responsive, and it's also the most high gain pedal. I mean, you may have heard I was peeking out places there on the board. I kept hitting it a little too hard. The thing, what you want to do with one of these, a pedal like this, if you're going to make a board like the one I've got here, is the whole reason this board exists is because I have certain sounds I like for each of those pedals. Now, if I want to go to record in a recording situation, I would tweak and all that. But if I go out live, I'm going to pick an American sound that I like, and I'm going to use something like a Joyo Tarring, which is like a clone, or I'm going to set a heavier gain. This is my Joyo Uzi over here. Or I usually dial an 808 in over here on this Joyo Batson. And I was getting a little bit of noise. I don't know what that was about. I usually never get that. I check that out. But, so pardon me. So usually I dial in an American sound that I like. If I want more gain or boost, I do it with one of these three pedals. And then if I want the AC tone sound, if I want the Vox kind of chime, then I dial in what I want on this one. If I want that Mesa Boogie kind of really killer crunch type tone and you know, more mid-range and everything, then I go with the California over here. If I want a Marshall sound, I usually dial in a Marshall sound. And I don't make the gain high on any of these amps or these amp modelers. I leave the gain just edge of breakup, or maybe just a little bit more crunch on one. I like the Mesa Boogie to have a little bit of crunch when I totally go into it. And I also like the orange one too. I like to set my Oxford up with a little more crunch than I do these other two. I use this one and this one for high gain. I use this for classic rock, and I hit it with one of these two pedals here or this one. This one really is a very effective pedal, the Batson. If I want good clean sounds, I'm going to go to one of these two pedals over here. And then, of course, you know, sometimes you want your Fender sound to bite a little bit, and I like to hit it with the Tarring, and it sounds great. And so if I take this pedal board out, now what I've been doing, I've been using pedals to help me think my way through what kind of sounds I want to put into the Helix. So I can't always say that I get what I want out of the Helix that I'm getting here. Sometimes I get something here that I really like and it's special. And that's why I keep this handy and I work with it. And probably from a recording point of view, I'll use Helix. I use some elements of Helix and I'll use these things. But I think if you wanted to go out and play, and if you wanted to have an American, so you want to have Fender sound, your AC, your Vox, you want to have your Mesa Boogie type sound, you want to have your British, and you want to have your more radical British or more bright. I don't want to say chimey, but it's more high gain, more. Again, I think brighter. I think when I think of orange sound, I think of a nice bright kind of overdrive and all of them respond well to the pedals. So it's a great setup, and these things are not expensive. You're talking $40 a piece for these, and these pedals here are a little more expensive. You can get different ones if you prefer. I've got an old silver clone that's like $50 from China over here. It sounds fantastic. I could put it on this board, but I have to say the Tarring sounds pretty great with all the Joyo pedals. I've had an immense amount of fun. Now, the thing I didn't do tonight is start combining the sounds. I've done other videos where I've done that. You can run the British and the Oxford together. It sounds insane. You can run the American and the British. Sounds great. The California and the California and the American sound great together. Just to run one into the other, and you're actually running two amps, and you get something that's really unique. And that's the thing I don't think I can get out of my Helix, is when I go to combining the gain and the tone for each of these. It's incredible the tone sculpting you can do with these pedals, just combinations of them together. I'm not going to get into that now. This video has been lengthy, but hopefully that shows you. Those of you who had questions about the noise, I don't have a super aggressive, noise gate on over here. Turned it off just now. I still have. Of course, I don't have a. But if you see with any amp, when you start to hit that drive, I mean, you're going to get noisy eventually, right? Usually I'm not going to go past about 2 o'clock with the drive on this thing. If I hit this pedal again, I might need to bump my threshold up just a little bit for that example. But there we go. Now it's starting to go away totally. Of course, I had this way louder than it ought to be. Now we see. Easy, easy. My wife is fussing at my dog in the other room, so you're probably picking up on something. That just rocks, people. The two of them together. Rock and roll. Peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel if you like.